Hello, I'm Amy from Amy Designs. Um, this week I am going live a few times to talk about some different ways to create my hello. We're going to get the hang of going live. We're going to get real good at it. So I'm glad you're here. Watching along on the replay, or if you found me and happened to jump on live. My name is Amy from Amy Designs, and I love to sew and create, and I design patterns that are simple and fun and help you explore different sewing techniques without taking up a ton of time or money. I design a lot of seasonal projects and have a lot of fun doing it. It's one of my favorite things. So this week I have been going live sharing different ways to create covers for my needle book. This is a free pattern when you sign up for my newsletter, my email newsletter. And it is a really fun, useful tool for when you have hand sewing and you want it to be portable. It has a fun little pocket inside where I keep my scissors. I keep my needles loaded up on this front page. In the middle, I keep my working threads. On the back page, I keep my throwaway threads. And then there's another pocket either for extra pieces or for garbage, whatever you need it for. So it's a really fun way to keep everything handy and portable. And so I have been sharing a couple of different techniques. Yesterday, I shared how to do a quilt as you go angled stripe cover, and today we are going to do this checkerboard cover. So it's a really fun technique, and I have kind of a not tricky, and you may have done this before, but it's just kind of a fun way to create all these rows without having to cut a bajillion little squares and then figuring out where they go and keeping them all placed and a ton of chain piecing. So we're going to make strip sets. We're going to cut them down, and then we're going to make a loop and unpick them so that we have this staggered checkered look. So that's what we're going to be learning today and walking through all of the different steps for doing that. Now, again, I will have the link in the description once the live has ended to sign up for the newsletter to get all the instructions for this needle book, as well as I have a bonus PDF that shares these fun different cover techniques, as well as some fun little embellishments to put on the outside of it, just to make it a little bit more fun and personal for you. So if you want to sign up for that, that link again will be in the description below. So let's get started with making our checkerboard cover for our needle book. So I don't want to keep you super long. We're going to try to just buzz through this really quick. We're going to start with 1.5 inch wide by 12 inch long strips. You'll need 5 of them, and you're just going to sew them all together along the long side using your 1/4 inch seam. Maybe try to keep it at a scant 1/4 inch seam. That way you have a little wiggle room on this as you're going. Once you have that strip set done, we do have a little bit of extra length for what we need. So what I recommend doing is squaring up one side. When you're sewing long strips like this, it can be tricky to keep everything lined up exactly. I know a lot of people are real hesitant about pins, but my suggestion is to pin to keep them nice and straight. But even with that, you're going to have a little bit of a jaggedy edge, probably on both sides. So trim up one side and get it nice and straight. And then let me switch it over to the other camera, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So we are going to take our straight side that we've trimmed, and I'm going to cut off 2 strips here that are 1.5 inches wide. And I'm doing this because I know that I'm going to run through my pattern at least twice. So this way I don't have to unpick a couple of extra seams. So I'm just going to cut 2 of these off. And now what we're going to do, this is kind of the fun, tricky part here, is I'm going to take my bottom and my top strips and bring them right sides together. And I'm going to pin again because long strips can be tricky to keep straight. So I'm just going to pin these together just like this. And then we're going to sew along this seam. So again, I'm doing a scant 1/4 inch seam. So now I have this tube. So what I'm going to do is lay my tube down. And just one quick note, I have pressed the seam allowances open when I was sewing my strip set together. Because we're going to be checkerboarding this, I didn't want to have to wait until the end because this part is much easier if we have it pressed and flat. But I don't want to have to worry about super bulky seams. So I just press these open so that I can just keep going and not have to repress seams. All right, so now I have my little loop here. And what I'm going to do is cut 1.5 inch strips for the remainder of my strip set. So I have all these little loopies here. One thing I like to do when I am cutting along something like this is I will use this seam allowance here to help me kind of keep it straight so that I am straight in both directions, not just on the edge, but across the seam as well. So let me cut these up. We should have 6 strips, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. Should be able to get 6 strips out of this. And then we have our 2 original ones that we cut off. So I'm going to trim this one down. All right, now here is the fun part. We are going to start unpicking one of the seams from this loop to create our little staggered look here. So this is the seam. This top seam, if I were to bring these together, is this seam between red and green. So we already have that one unpicked. So now I'm going to move down to the seam between green and yellow, and I'm going to unpick that one. Sorry, sometimes when I'm live and I get in a hurry and then I get nervous. Okay, so I'm going to unpick that one. That becomes this next row here. And once I press these, it will lay more flat, but this just gives us an idea. So that was between yellow and green. So now I'm going to find the seam between yellow and pink, and I'm going to unpick that one. And then you can see that that is shifting how all of my seams fit together. Okay, so that was between yellow and pink. Now I'm going to find the seam between pink and blue, and I'm going to unpick that one. And because these seams are short, it doesn't take that much to unpick them. And then, like I said, you're going to take all of these to your pressing mat and you're going to give them a nice good press, and you're going to press open this last seam that we did when we made our first loop. But for now, I'm just going to walk you through. So this last one that I'm going to unpick is the seam between blue and red. So I keep my original strip set here as a reference so that I know that which ones I am trying to keep separate, or where I need to, unpick the seam next, so that I keep them in order and I have all the ones that I need. So that is going to be my full set, and then I'm just going to repeat again. So I'm going to have my green one is going to come up here. And again, that would be the seam between red and green. So I'm going to skip that and go to the seam between green and yellow. So again, I'm just going to twist around my loop, find that seam between green and yellow, open that up really quick, and then just repeat that process until I have all of my strips unpicked. So it's going to go just like that. And then once I have all of my sets ready to go, then I'm just going to sew them together along these long edges to come together into a strip set that looks like this. Now this was the leftover length from my original strips. I cut them off of fat quarters. And because my original strips, I'm starting with 12 inches and my fat quarter was 18 inches, I had a little bit extra. So I went ahead and made this front cover. So if you're working with shorter strips, one thing that you can do is create kind of a checkerboard panel, and then you're just going to add a piece of fabric to extend this to the length that you need for the cover of your needle book. So we're trying to create a cover that's 8.5 inches. And so this one is 4.5 inches. So I would need another 4 inches plus my seam allowances. So I'm going to cut a piece that's 4.5 by 5.5, sew it onto this side, and then I'll use this as the front cover of my needle book. And then I will have the back be just a plain one. So I did something similar with this one. I didn't have enough of my checkerboard pieces to go all the way. So I just extended my fabric panel piece for my cover with just a little bit of extra fabric there. So that is just a quick and easy way, using a strip set, creating your tube, and then unpicking seams lets you get this fun checkerboard look without having to cut all of these millions of little tiny squares and then arranging them and putting them back together. So I hope that was kind of a fun little tutorial there. Once you have your front done, then of course you're going to create your quilt sandwich. With the needle books, just as a matter of information, you do see the backing of it. It becomes part of the inside of your needle book. So I always like to choose kind of a fun coordinating print to go in there. And then we're going to make our pockets. Again, all of the information, measurements, and things like that are in the PDF for my needle book pattern. And again, in the description, I will have a link to sign up for my email newsletter and have that sent straight to you. I am going to be continuing on with this series this week, skipping tomorrow, but Thursday I will come back and we will talk about different closures and different ways to create closures for this. I love the tab with the cam snaps, but there's a lot of other fun ways to do it too, with sew-in magnets, with elastic, with ribbon to tie it shut. So if you don't have all the tools to create a tab with the cam snaps, I'm going to come back on Thursday around the same time, 1 p.m. Mountain time, and share that with you. If you have enjoyed this tutorial or watching along, I hope you'll subscribe. And I have lots more fun stuff on my Instagram, as well as a membership program where each month I have a new project with new techniques and different things we go over. They're all similar, small in scale, super fun. We cover a range of techniques from bags to applique to pillows and table runners and quilted techniques to other kinds of sewing techniques as well. It's really fun. I will put a link for more information for that as well in the description below. And if there's any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat right now. I can see Elizabeth said hello. If there are any questions, I'm happy to sit here for 1 second and see if anything pops up. But there's a lot of different fun. I was just looking to see if I could snag the one that I shared yesterday, but let me just show you these really quick. These are some other versions of needle books that I have. I love having them for different seasons and all the different projects that that I have going on. I will make a bag, a big project bag to go with it, as well as a small zipper pouch so that I can keep all of the things that I need for one project together. And it's just fun when you're working on a Christmas project to have a Christmas needle book. And I was missing some spring ones. So that's what we're doing here. We are making some spring needle books for, I just think they're fun to have for when you're like stuck at soccer practice or, going to the different outdoor events, or you're taking your kids to the park and want to let them just run wild and stuff, but you want to have something to do and work on. So this makes handwork portable and organized and just keeps everything with you where you can find it and grab it and when you're heading out the door. So, yes, you want to do the bags for projects. Yeah. So it's the bag that I like to use is I think I've hung it up, but it is my nesting travel pouch pattern. I'll also stick a link to that. Give me 1 second. Let me grab it really quick. So this is the bag, and it is the extra large version of my nesting travel pouch. This one is one that is for purchase. Yeah, so this one is in my Etsy shop. It's a set of 3 different size bags and a bonus. So there's actually 4, and this is the extra tall version. So I love that it has a handle so that I can carry it. One of my favorite ways to finish this bag is to use, this is some faux leather or some vinyl, or to use a waxed canvas so that it has a little bit of extra body and it stands up on its own. Especially, I had boys that played football, so we were in stadiums a lot. So it's nice to be able to set it down on the bench bleachers next to you and have it stand up and keep everything there. And then I don't think I have my littles. I have a tutorial right here on YouTube. I'll link to that as well, for a simple zipper pouch that's just small and square so that you can keep your extra skeins of floss. And then between the big pouch, the needle book, and then the small zipper pouch, it's just a perfect fun project set that you can use, get your project done, and then I clean it out between projects, and then it's ready to go. The next time I'm working on a Christmas project, I grab my Christmas one, or, you know, Halloween, have some fall. When I first designed this needle book, I wasn't sure how much I would use it, and I use it all the time. And that's why I have so many of them, because I love it. So, again, I will put all the links in the description once I get this published and live, or, you know, available for replay. But this needle book pattern is free. The PDF, it's just, the PDF is available when you sign up for my email newsletter. Again, I'm Amy from Amy Rooney Designs. You can follow me here. You can follow me on Instagram, and I'm hoping to be on YouTube a lot more, sharing a lot more fun projects, simple tutorials, and skills like this. So it's been so fun to have you here today. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I try to reply to those, or you can find me on Instagram at Amy Rooney Designs. I will answer questions in my DMs there as well. And if you sign up for the needle book, you'll have my email. You can reply to that. And I love to be helpful, try to help you overcome things. And if there's things we need to do videos on or show you more up close how to do things, then those are great. So if I don't see you later around on Instagram or whatever, I will find you here Thursday, 1 p.m. Mountain Time. We're going to go over all the different closure techniques for your finishing up your needle book. And you'll want to kind of watch that before you do the binding, because if you're going to do ribbons or you're going to do elastic, you're going to want to put that in place as you're doing the binding and sewing that down. So get your cover done, get your embellishment done, get your pocket ready to go. And then when we jump back on Thursday, I'll show you a bunch of different ideas for creating different kinds of closures so that you can get it done. And then we'll get the binding put on there and get our felt pages done and have a super fun project. So it's really fun, easy, fast. And, you know, this is a fun place to use, you know, some of those cute tags that you see going around that you can buy at different shops and things. And it's a fun way to feature some fabric and just really enjoy a little tiny bit of sewing that's handy and useful. Super satisfying to get something done that doesn't take you a whole month or whatever to get it done. So it's my pleasure and so fun to see you. And until I see you next time, happy sewing, my friends. We'll catch you Thursday for the next live.